Tonight, you will probably do something strange without noticing. You will open your phone, scroll for a while, and then put it down and walk outside. You won't know why. You'll just feel like you need air or grass or a tree to look at. It feels like nothing. But the real answer is far stranger than a craving for fresh air. Your brain is still trying to get back to a garden it has never actually seen. You know the story. A man and a woman placed in a garden. Rivers running through it, trees heavy with fruit. Every animal named and known. No walls, no clocks, no traffic, no glowing screens. Then a choice is made, the gate closes, and humanity is sent out into a harder world. Thorns now, labor now, distance from the thing that once felt like home. For thousands of years, that story has been read as theology, a lesson about obedience, about consequence, about the fall of humanity from grace. But there's a second layer hiding underneath it, one that has nothing to do with ancient scrolls and everything to do with the wiring inside your skull right now. Because your brain, according to modern research, still behaves as if it is trying to find its way back to Eden. Here's where it gets interesting. In 1984, a scientist named Roger Ulrich studied patients recovering from gallbladder surgery in a Pennsylvania hospital. Half the patients had a hospital room with a window facing a small stand of trees. The other half faced a plain brick wall. Same surgery, same medication, same doctors. The only difference was the view. The patients who could see trees left the hospital almost a full day sooner. They needed less pain medication. Nurses even wrote fewer negative comments about their mood. Think about that for a second. A window, just a window, and it changed how fast a human body healed itself. Ulrich's study became one of the founding pieces of evidence for something called biophilia, a term coined by biologist E.O. Wilson. Biophilia simply means love of life, but Wilson used it to describe something deeper, an innate biological pull that humans feel toward the natural world. Not a preference, not a personality trait, a wiring. Wilson argued that for nearly the entire span of human existence, survival depended on reading nature correctly, which plants were food, which animals were predators, where water was hiding, which sounds meant danger and which meant safety. That kind of attention wasn't optional. It was the difference between living and dying, and your brain has not forgotten it. Even though you may have spent your entire life inside buildings, behind screens, under fluorescent light, the oldest parts of your neurology are still running software written for a garden. You feel it in small, almost embarrassing ways. The relief of walking outside after being indoors too long, the strange comfort of a houseplant on a desk, the reason hotel lobbies put in fountains and fake greenery even though nobody is fooled by the plastic leaves. Why? Because something in you responds to it anyway. There's a newer piece of research that makes this even more concrete. In 2008, cognitive scientist Mark Berman, then at the University of Michigan, ran a simple experiment. He had participants complete a mentally exhausting task, then sent one group on a walk through a quiet, tree-lined park and another group on a walk through busy city streets. When they came back and were tested again, the park walkers showed a significant improvement in memory and attention. The city walkers did not. The nature wasn't just pleasant, it was restorative in a measurable, repeatable way. Berman called it attention restoration, building on earlier work by psychologists Rachel and Stephen Kaplan, who theorized that natural environments give the exhausted, directed focus part of your brain a chance to rest, while still gently holding your attention through what they called soft fascination, a rustling leaf, a moving cloud, a bird landing on a branch, nothing demanding, nothing depleting. Now hold that next to the garden story, a place where nothing had to be forced, where the man wasn't described as exhausted, anxious, or overstimulated, where the rhythm of the world matched the rhythm of the body that was made to live in it. The ancient text calls it paradise. The neuroscience calls it restoration. They are describing the same relief. So what happened? Why does a species that is, biologically speaking, built for green space and open sky spend most of its waking hours indoors, staring at rectangles of light? The honest answer is that civilization moved faster than evolution could follow. Agriculture, cities, factories, offices, and eventually smartphones all arrived within what is, on an evolutionary timescale, a single blink. Your genome hasn't caught up. The stress hormones that once helped your ancestors escape a predator in the grass now fire off because of a notification sound. The attention system that once scanned a forest for danger now gets hijacked by an infinite scroll of content engineered to never let it rest. You are, in a very real sense, a garden creature trying to survive in a machine, and this is where the twist gets uncomfortable, because it isn't just the trees you're missing, it's the whole architecture of that original design. Uninterrupted sunlight, physical labor that ends, food eaten close to where it grew, silence without notifications, relationship without a screen between you and another face. The biblical Eden wasn't only a place of beauty, it was a place of alignment where the human body, mind, and environment were not fighting each other. Modern psychology has a phrase for what happens when that alignment breaks. Researchers studying urban environments have repeatedly linked chronic disconnection from nature and from unstructured rest to elevated cortisol, higher rates of anxiety, and reduced capacity for sustained attention. None of these findings claim to prove a garden once existed exactly as described in Genesis. That's not the point, and it's worth saying clearly. But the emotional and physiological pattern the ancient writers described, a state of ease lost, a world grown thorny and effortful, keeps showing up independently in laboratories that have never opened a Bible. That's the part worth sitting with. This isn't one field confirming another on purpose. It's two completely different disciplines, thousands of years apart, arriving at the same observation about human beings from opposite directions. One says humanity was made for a garden and cast out into hardship. The other says the human nervous system was shaped by millions of years in green, quiet, slow-moving environments, and now finds itself in loud, fast, artificial ones. Different vocabulary, same wound. You can see the evidence of that wound everywhere once you know to look for it. Why do so many people describe camping trips or beach vacations as feeling like they came back to life, even after only a few days away from their normal routine? Why does a walk in a forest lower blood pressure measurably more than a walk of equal length and equal exertion on a treadmill in a gym? Why do children who grow up with regular access to green space show, in multiple studies, better emotional regulation than children raised in purely built environments? It isn't nostalgia, it's biology remembering something older than memory. Here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you a little. You were never meant to fully forget the garden. The instinct that pulls you outside, the ache you feel looking at a sunset, the unexplainable comfort of running your hand along tree bark, these aren't malfunctions. They're signals. Your body is still, quietly, relentlessly trying to get you home. And maybe that's the real weight underneath the ancient story. Not a punishment handed down once, long ago, to people who no longer exist, but a condition still being lived out every single day inside you. The distance from Eden was never just geographic or historical. It's carried in the nervous system of every person who has ever felt exhausted by a world that moves faster than their body was built to handle. Which means the garden was never only behind you. In small, deliberate, almost sacred ways, it can still be entered. A walk without your phone. 10 minutes of sunlight before the day swallows you. A window instead of a wall. None of it undoes the fall in some cosmic sense. But it does something your ancestors would have understood instinctively and that modern research is only now proving with data. It brings the body back, even briefly, to the conditions it was designed for. So tonight, when you feel that unexplainable pull to step outside, to touch grass, to look up instead of down, don't dismiss it as nothing. It isn't nothing. It's the oldest homesickness a human being can feel. Your brain has never stopped believing that somewhere, just past the noise, there is still a garden waiting for you to come back.